In this recording, we're going to review how to write a regression, quote unquote, by hand. So I'm going to start with this graph that I'm given. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to identify where the zeros are. And I see I have 3 zeros on this graph. One at -8. The factor that would match that would be x plus 8. Remember, you're always trying to make them equal 0. So if I substitute -8 in, -8 plus 8 does equal 0. For the next one, I have 0. I could write x plus 0 or x minus 0, but I really just need to write x. And then last but certainly not least, I have a positive 8, and its factor is going to be x minus 8. So this is what we've been doing for most of the time we've been writing equations. Now we're going to add our c. So in order to do that, I'm going to start off by just writing that f of x equals, and we're going to put c, I'm going to put it in a different color because that's what we're trying to ultimately find, times x plus 8 times x times x minus 8. Now, in order to find c, I need to use a coordinate that's on this graph somewhere. And typically, we use either the minimum, a relative minimum, or a relative maximum. I'm going to use this relative maximum. So I need to figure out exactly where it is. So my x values look like they are counting by halves. So this would be 4.5. This is 5, 5.5, and 6. So I think right around here, it's not perfectly straight, but you can see that it's between the 4.5 and the 5. I'm going to call that x value 4.75. And the y value, again, one of the drawbacks of a graph is you're doing some estimating. So each one of these lines is counting by 100. If you look 100, 200, 3, 4, 5. So this is right about 700. And again, the values that you select may be slightly off, but they should be relatively close. So now I'm going to substitute these values in where I see f of x, which is the same thing as y, and everywhere I see an x. So 700 equals c, which is what we're trying to find, 4.75 plus 8 is 4.75, and 4.75 minus 8. Squeeze that in there. All right, and then I'm going to take my calculator and I'm just going to try to simplify this problem. And I can do this 4.75 plus 8 times 4.75, and make sure if you're putting it all in one step that you're putting those parentheses in because you want the order of operations. 4.75 minus 8. And I get the answer of negative 196. I'm going to say 0.828. It does continue to go on, but again, because I'm estimating already with that 4.75, I'm just going to go one extra decimal place. I'm going to bring that C on down, and it's still going to all equal 700. And this is where we're just going to go back to our basic algebra. When they're next to each other, it means to multiply, so I'm going to divide by the negative 196, 828. Negative 196. And I'm going to run this in my calculator. 700 divided by negative 196.828. And I get that negative 3.556 equals C. And for the very last step, now I'm just going to go back to this original equation that I had. And where I see C, I'm going to put in this value that we've actually calculated. So f of x equals negative 3.556 x plus 8 times x times x minus 8. And that is how we find our equation. So you can see that I got a graph that is very similar to the one that is on my PowerPoint. You can see that I have the same zeros. You can see that this one goes up to right around 700. You can see over here, this one, this is negative 500, negative 6, negative 700 is the minimum here. And it looks like that's right around where it is because you can see we're counting by hundreds over here. This graph is a good representation, or this equation is a good representation for the data that we were originally given.